Yo, what's up guys, it's Talon, and today I'm going to be talking about the most important thing to understand as a mage player and kind of showing you how this understanding happens throughout the game or how it's utilized throughout the game. So the simple kind of, one sentence thing, I guess, of it is pretty much you need to be extremely patient and understand your strengths as a mage, which is selfish, patient gameplay, waiting for that moment to really like kind of burst down your enemy. So early on in the game, you obviously don't have enough damage to, one-shot your enemy or to burst them down or to have some insane early game damage. So your main purpose early game is to get gold on yourself in whatever way possible. So as a Syndra specifically, obviously I'm playing for stacks in lane as well. But regardless of what champion I'm playing, my main goal is typically going to be farm first strike procs if I have first strike and make sure I'm just getting my consistent gold until I get to mana boots. I have a video on how to lane as a mage, so if you want to check that out, if you're interested in learning more about how to lane as a mage, just check that out on my YouTube channel in the Evergreen Videos playlist. But we're going to kind of not talk too much about the lane phase. A lot of this game is going to be focused more on the later parts of the game. But the early game does definitely have, a similar thing where, like, again, early game, we're doing everything we can to get to the point that we can properly utilize our patience and understanding in the mid game to then eventually scale up in one shot. And so here again, the early game doesn't go well. You see, like, I miss some spells. They get an invade off. They kind of, destroy us pretty well. And then kind of skipping through here. Again, we're just going to kind of skip through. We find our recall on mana boots, as I've told you guys about. Come back to lane. Again, we poke out the Teemo whenever he walks up for last hits. Pretty straightforward. And then I end up looking for a pretty big trade on him because I got my, passive up. And then we get ganked by, I think we get ganked here. No, we just end up recalling again. So yeah, we end up just recalling again. Nothing too complicated there. We rotate because, the enemy is in our jungle. But again, the game is not really going super well. We're getting invaded, kind of falling behind, stuff like that. But you're going to see throughout the game how kind of just having patience leads to me being in a position to carry. So like as a mage, the general thing I'm thinking is if the enemy are playing really well and are quite far ahead of our team and everything, my only goal is to get enough gold on myself that if they throw, I can take advantage of that properly. So I want to make sure I'm farming properly, getting to my death cap and whatnot on proper spikes, that type of thing. And then if my teammates are playing well, I want to use the fact that my teammates are playing well to get strong enough that if my teammates make mistakes, it's not game breaking or game losing because I'm still kind of that insurance policy, like that late game insurance policy for my team. So here again, another mistake by me, you're going to see I don't cleanse fast enough, which means that I only trade 1 for 1. Could have killed Teemo and got out if I cleanse faster. Oh well, it is what it is. But again, the main mindset you need to understand, the main kind of trick of mages is just understanding your own strengths, your own kind of power, which again comes all in being super selfish and hitting your item spikes, scaling up, regardless of what happens in the early game. So early game goes bad, great, play selfish, farm, make sure that you can still get your spikes because it again stops your team from throwing. The early game, or I meant if the early game goes good, you do that. If the early game goes bad, then of course you just farm and hope that the enemy eventually throw. And you just play, again, getting your first strike procs like I do there, getting my stacks up, and just kind of looking to farm and hit my power spikes. So again, we're going to be skipping through a lot of this kind of mid game, just talking about kind of the decision making. So here I push out my mid lane and then I go top side to get some gold. The reason I go top side is because the enemy are playing around bot, their jungler was on the dragon, and even if I end up giving up my mid turret, all that I want is to get some level of gold onto myself so that I'm going to be able to kind of again get a little bit stronger and be able to scale into the late game. So even though we do lose or have the potential to lose mid, instead they end up collapsing on us here, I'm at least able to get some gold on myself. And then again, I'm just getting out here, I'm just playing to stack. Like all I'm really trying to do here is just get some stacks off, make sure I can scale up. And I'm already at 90 stacks, which is extremely fast for a Syndra. And so even though the game is going poorly, we're getting the things that we need. That's all we need. We need to get our stacks for Syndra specifically. If I'm playing something like Orianna, obviously I don't have to worry about stacks. And then I need to get, that was kind of a bad flash too, but, and then I need to get my gold, right? So if I'm getting gold, I'm getting stacks. That's all that matters. I don't care about the rest of the game for the most part. Now, obviously, if my teammates are hard winning and they go to an objective, I'm going to go to the objective with them because we're going to be able to get stacks at that objective and we're going to be able to win the fight and, snowball. So I'm not saying to never help your team ever. What I'm saying is it's going to be rare that you're going to play really hard for your teammates' own self-interest because usually as a mage, it's just not what you do. You would do that if you're playing a champion like Ari, for example. You know, not like a scaling mage, or a champion like Gallia or something more supportive. But instead here, again, all I'm doing is I'm walking across the map. When the enemy give me opportunities to get stacks, I'm taking it. If the enemy, you know, if my teammates are kind of inting, I don't really care. I understand that there's not much I can do to control that because all I can do as a mage is just farm and then eventually hit that spike. And so you see me here, I go bot side and I end up getting caught. I didn't realize I can get one shot by Renekton, so that's definitely my fault here again. A lot of mistakes made by me in the early game and obviously by my team as well, which leads to me being, you know, me dying multiple times, not having many kills, and my teammates being very behind. But even though I am dying and making some mistakes, gold-wise, I'm pretty strong right now. And again, that's just due to understanding my champion's strengths. So whether or not the early game goes well or bad, I'm almost always going to have a lot of gold. And because I always have a lot of gold, I always have a chance. And having that chance is really the main thing you need to understand as a Syndra, regardless of how early game goes. So like I'm at 6.8k gold, I'm ahead over 1k on the Teemo, decently strong. And again, so even here, instead of prioritizing the fight, I go mid, and then I go for a bot wave, and then I grab another bot wave afterwards. And so here again, I'm prioritizing mid and bot wave, and then instead of going to the dragon, I believe I actually look for stacks here. So I didn't necessarily need to go to this dragon. Like my goal is not to contest the dragon, but here I guess I wanted stacks, or maybe I wanted first strike gold. I was I full stacks? I'm trying to see if I was full stacks already. I was already full stacks. So honestly, low key, I don't agree with this call from Past Talon. So Past Talon, I think this was a bad play from you. But I do think I should have just gone topside instead. Ideally, if I just gone topside and just hovered the Baron, it'd be harder for the enemy to get the Baron out of this, and would potentially kind of give us a bit more of a chance to actually come back or whatever. But we do end up getting a pick onto one of them there, so I guess it kind of worked out. So maybe Past Talon was cooking a little bit, since we did end up getting the kill and just kind of stalling there. But you can see I'm kind of always still, even in these fights where my teammates are inting and I'm going to this type of fight, I'm playing very patient. Like I'm never, you know, going super aggro or following up on teammates' silly calls. I'm always very aware of who can kill me, who can dive onto me, making sure that if I have my flash or my cleanse, I can be more aggressive. But just positioning pretty safely and just playing to, again, stall the game out to a point where I am really, really strong. And even here, again, we understand they're probably going to go for the Baron. I'm trying to tell the Yuumi to go on me because I know I can carry a lot harder with Yuumi on me. But I'm basically telling my team, like, hey, they're going to go for Baron, or I'm trying to ping my team anyway and, you know, cover. I'm aware of the fact they're going to go for Baron now that they have the lead, and so I'm just zoning them off Baron. I have won so many games on mages just from getting simple picks around Baron when the enemy overextends. So even here, I'm just getting my team vision. They're not doing a good job of zoning, and a lot of times they don't do a good job of zoning. It's just kind of how it is in this elo. I mean, I think I'm diamond at this point. I did end up hitting master on my mid lane account today, so there is that. But again, I'm just constantly poking them out here, constantly stalling, so it's hard for them to actually get the Baron. And even if they do get the Baron, I'm at least going to get like a pick out of it or get something. So I'm just constantly poking them out, making it hard. But I'm not ever going all in. You can see, like, I know that I can't really fully get this. I'm just trying to poke them off. And then at this point, one person overextends, I get the kill. Then my teammate's pushing mid wave, so I get the mid wave gold now. And then I realize they're going to get Baron. It's fine. I'm just going to go bot. And so again, even though the game is going super bad, I have these kind of, you know, I have 10 point whatever K gold at this point. I'm the second highest gold in the entire game apart from their ADC. And I'm constantly just farming, looking for those power spikes. And so here we farm even further. We're able to get our death cap. We find a recall for death cap. And then at this point, if the enemy do overextend, we're going to have the damage to take them out, which is what you see here. Then the Amumu does kind of int. I think we end up killing him with our W. And again, just the longer and longer the game goes, the better. I'm trying to get the Yuumi to go on me. She doesn't like me for some reason, which is a little unfortunate. But again, now the enemy they make some dumb throw, they do something silly, which is very common in pretty much every elo that people don't know how to close out games. And again, that's why you need to understand this. If you understand how to get gold as a mage, you're almost always going to have a chance to come back. And then if you're patient with your lead or with your, you know, in fights and whatever, waiting for the enemy to overextend, a lot of times you can just find these picks like I do here. Sorry about that. But yeah, pretty much won probably 4 or 5 games just off this type of style with Syndra on my push to master so far this season, where it's just like my teammates are griefing, game is going super poor, everything looks awful, but then suddenly I have so much gold that I randomly one-shot someone and then the game turns around. And that's pretty much what you see here, because again, farming up, we're giving them dragon, we're pretty much doing nothing, AFKing 24/7, but as soon as the enemy overextend, we'll just take, advantage of that. So I'm just hovering the Baron again. I'm aware of the fact they're probably going to go Baron, so I want to try to zone them off Baron. I know this is really the time where the enemy, they potentially overextend and we could find something, and then here we do find a pick onto the Seraphine. Just again, that patience, positioning really far over the wall, making sure the enemy have no real way to kill me. Even if they go on my teammates to kill them, whatever, it doesn't matter. I'm just going to slowly play this fight, and I'm going to be able to burst them down. I think I E-flash, or I flash then E onto the Lucian. We get the triple kill. Meanwhile, the Kayle is just pushing bot lane the whole time, which means that we have that lane pushing, which is beneficial for us. Renekton tries chasing us. We end up blowing him up as well, so we get 4 kills out of that fight just through patience and, again, understanding when these objectives come up. A lot of times the enemy are going to kind of overgroup and overextend for them, or around the mid waves, that type of thing. As long as you're patient, farming up properly, you're going to be able to do this. I know I have a Yuumi in this game, obviously, following me, which helps out, but this is not necessary. You can do this a lot of times without a Yuumi. Obviously, having a Yuumi makes it easier, but again, very often happens regardless. And then here again, we understand the enemy are going to go for the Baron, and so we're just zoning over the wall very simply. They really, really dumbly group up next to each other, and we're able to get a quick little triple kill there, zoning them off. So basically the kind of point of this video, which again, I try to kind of have some type of point to every video. The point is just understand that as a mage, you can be very, very patient. You don't need to necessarily try to do everything early game. Play for yourself, play for your own lead, play for your own gold. And if you're doing that properly, you're going around the map properly, and you're playing patient enough, but still fighting once you are hitting your spikes and everything, you're probably going to be able to carry a lot of games that feel otherwise unwinnable. Here we get the mid turret, and then we're just looking for the Baron, or for the Elder. Again, having that patience, not trying to overforce and end the game. We understand now at this point I am strong enough that if I zone the enemy off of the Elder, we're probably going to be chilling. Nearly able to one-shot the Seraphine there, just constantly zoning them. And I use this camera thing, the semi-lock camera, the little eye thing. That's also really useful, definitely. Renekton tries to go on me, but I have QSS, I have Cleanse, so they can't really do very much. And at this point, we just push the mid wave and try to pressure them. I think I end up killing people here. Yeah, do end up killing one. Not really the best mechanical play there. I should have just E-flashed, and then I would have killed more, but it's fine. We still get a double kill. We go and we end the game. And yeah, this is pretty much how I got to master. At this point, I think I was diamond something. I don't remember, diamond maybe 3, diamond 2. We'll see on the end screen. But yeah, I did this just spamming Syndra. I had over a 70% win rate. 70% win rate to master on this account. Started Emerald 1, so pretty good. Yeah, it looks like we promoted, I think, to diamond 2 there. So hope you guys enjoyed this video, and I'll see you in the next one.